Thank you for joining us on our Open House Mastermind Tuesdays. We have this the first Tuesday of every month, normally reserved for our premium members. We have opened this one up because it's the start of the year, and we want everybody to be able to take advantage of the power of open houses and the marketing that you can do. Today, as every mastermind, we're going to have Walter Key with us. A great coach, great realtor. He's an okay guy. No, he was in the right service. So he was in the Navy. I was in the Navy as well. So of course, I'm sure Walter's was more military than I was. I was just pretty much an office environment. So, but we're good. Walter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you. And if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to speak up, because that's what this is. This is we want you to learn. This is a live. This will also be recorded, and we'll send a link out as well. Also, feel free to use the chat feature. I'll keep an eye on that. Go ahead, Walter.
All righty, awesome. I appreciate the introduction. Yeah, I spent 21 years in the Navy, so I might be a little bit more military than most, but that was a lot of fun. So the reason we're going to start this call is going to be very, very tailored towards the nuts and bolts of how to do an open house properly. I think, as Don alluded to, most agents either don't do them because they think they don't work, or they don't do them properly and therefore they don't work. And so there's actually a lot that goes into setting up and maximizing an open house, not just for your particular listing, but to grow and expand your business, to market yourself and the property, on and on and on. So we'll dive deep into that. This is actually the open houses are one of the strategies that we actually teach in our 100K in 100 days challenge. It's an entire strategy, right? A lot of people think of an open house as an individual thing. Like, I put on a listing on the market, so I'm just going to go stand there for a couple hours this weekend and hope. But open houses is an entire strategy to grow your business. And so we're going to dive a little bit into this. I'm not going to do a super formal screen share presentation. I want this to be more kind of an open conversation, but I am going to talk about some very specific things as we go through. Before I do that, let me drop something in the chat for everybody to grab. So I'm going to talk about things like how to have the right conversations at the open house, how to prepare for the open house in advance, how to do a great feedback form to solicit data that you can follow up with. All that stuff is going to be in the resource document that I'm dropping in the chat right now. So that Google Drive document will have some documents in there for you to take with you and go execute on the knowledge that you get today. I always like to do any coaching call I do. I like to give knowledge and then make sure that you have something that you can actually go execute, because the knowledge on its own is not going to help you any. It's the execution that really makes a difference. So let's just do a quick Q&A here. You can drop something in the chat. You can do a show of hands if you're not off camera. A lot of you are not on camera. Again, if you're not naked or driving naked, please put your camera on. This is a conversation. We want to see your face. We don't care what you look like. I didn't put my makeup on today. I don't care if you don't have yours on either. So please come off, come onto the camera and enjoy the conversation. How many people would say that they have either heard someone say or thought themselves, open houses are a waste of time, they're not going to sell the house, I'm not going to bother? Like, how many have had that thought of, I don't even know if I want to do an open house for this listing. That's just not going to sell the house. You can drop that in the chat, say yes, no, maybe, occasionally. Someone else said it, but I would never say that, whatever you want to say. I say, yeah, a lot. I've heard it a ton. Absolutely, right? Yes. Okay, so we're starting from the same baseline, which is most people understand, statistically speaking, an open house might not sell the listing. That's just a statistical fact, right? I'm a data-driven nerd. I know all the stats out there. Only probably about 2% of buyers put that specific house under contract from an open house. It's rare. It happens occasionally, but that's not really why we do open houses. Yes, it's a benefit to our seller. It shows that we're working for them. It shows that we're out there hustling. That's all fine and good, but really, truly, and some people are like, well, I don't know that I would say that out loud. I'm like, listen, it's business. It is what it is. The goal of the open house is not necessarily to sell that listing. The goal of the open house is to grow your business. And so when you frame your open house a little bit differently and you think about all the different ways that you can leverage an open house to grow your business, close more deals, maybe get more listings, definitely get more buyers, leverage into other strategies by using the open house as a value proposition, you start to change the way you look at an open house, and you realize it's not just about sitting there for a few hours, hoping somebody walks in and trying to get them to buy it. There's so many different facets of that. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into all of that. One of the things I always like to talk about when I talk about open houses is there is a right house and a wrong house to hold open. And again, this is one of those things that might seem like a no-brainer, but a lot of people miss it. Understanding the kind of house that you can maximize for the open house, right? To get foot traffic through the door, for better marketing online, it matters, right? So what I would argue is, as you're thinking about your open house weekend, you want to have identified which house you're going to hold open absolutely no later than Wednesday. Honestly, I would recommend you prep even earlier than that. But if you're building this out on your calendar to be more structured, no later than Wednesday, you need to know what specific house am I holding open on Saturday or Sunday. Now, as you're looking at those listings and saying, well, which one would I hold open? Which one would make the most sense? Newer listings make far more sense. Again, it's all about statistics, right? If you put a house on the market within 2 to 3 weeks, almost every buyer that's currently on the market has seen it, whether it's through their agent, through Zillow, through Realtor, through a walk around. They drove by, they saw the sign, they had an agent that set them up on an MLS search filter, right? They will have seen the property already. And so you really want to take advantage of the fact that it's new in the market to drive traffic to it. So I would argue that something less than 2 to 3 weeks on the market is ideal. You obviously want something in a decent condition that's priced properly. And we all know, like, not that you or I would ever overprice a house, because we want to make sure that we sell it for our client. But there are some agents out there who get a little aggressive on their price. And when you go $175 a square foot in a market where the median is 145, that's probably not going to sell at that price, right? You want a house that logically people can look at it and go, that feels like value, let me go take a look, right? So don't get trapped into the big, fancy, super expensive, overpriced house, or even just, it might be priced right technically, but it's in a market where the median sales price is significantly lower. So even if that house is bigger, maybe it's on the lake, it's completely remodeled, there will still be less buyer traffic on that house because the median sales price in that market is less. So think about that. And then a relatively populated area, right? I've hosted open houses for seller clients of mine. It was my listing, knowing full well no one's showing up. I'm going to do other things to market my business and this house and do things to try to get it sold, but nobody's walking through the door, right? Because it was a very rural spot. You're a mile and a half down a road that no one drives on unless you live there. You're off 15 minutes from the city center. Very, very rural, 8-acre property, like out in the country. And that's just not typically the house that most people are going to show up to. So new listing, 2 to 3 weeks or newer is ideal. Good condition, priced properly for the market that it's in. And then in a relatively populated area, obviously that will depend on your specific market that you're in. If you're in a super small country town, relatively populated has a different definition than if you're in New York, but a relatively populated area to drive traffic to the house itself. Those are just some things to think about when you're identifying what house do I want to hold open this weekend. Those are the things you should be considering when you analyze that. Now, some of you might say, this all sounds great. I don't have any listings, right? I'm a brand new agent. I have no listings. I have nothing I can hold open. Yes, you do. And in the documents that I'm giving you, one of the PDFs is actually a template on how you can have a conversation with another listing agent to offer to host an open house for them, right? This is something that we teach. We do this regularly in our 100K challenge. So I'm very familiar with how we put this together. There's so many different ways you can do open houses. So again, identify the open house. Oh, how do I identify someone else's listing? Go to your hot sheet every day. As a new agent or an agent that's not exactly where you want to be yet, you should be in your MLS hot sheet every day anyway, for just a quick scan of the new stuff, get that market knowledge, right? But go into your hot sheet. You know they're new listings because it's the hot sheet. They're usually within a 24-hour window or over the weekend, maybe Friday. So you know they're new. Look for listings that are in your market, populated area, decent price point, decent condition, and just reach out to that agent and have a quick conversation. It's a very simple conversation. and say, hey, I'd love to host an open house for you if you'd like. I'd love to bring a buyer to the table and do a great deal with you. I make open houses a big deal. It's part of the thing that I do. I love hosting open houses. I usually collect really great feedback for the seller. Would you be interested in me doing an open house for you this weekend or next weekend? Just ask the question. You'd be amazed how many people are like, yeah, thank you so much. I don't have time to do one. I'm a busy listing agent. I got 7 other listings on the market. Sure, right? Do an open house for my client. So you'd be amazed how many agents will say yes if you just ask the question. So you can ask your fellow listing agents, could I do an open house for you to try to, again, it's a value to them and their seller. You might bring the right buyer through the table, but at the end of the day, you're generating leads for yourself. You're marketing your business. You're leveraging social media with this open house. There's so many other things you're doing that it is an absolute benefit to your business, but it's also value to the listing agent and their seller. Just ask the question. It's super easy. The other thing that we teach, and I'm going to quick segue, and then we'll get back on the topic of open houses, is in our challenge, the other thing that we teach is how to actively and properly generate business from for sale by owners, right? There's a right way and a wrong way. One of the things you can offer a for sale by owner, as you've kind of, and we won't dive deep into that conversation because that's for another coaching call. One of the things that you can offer a for sale by owner to add genuine value to them and not try to be the salesman that wants their listing is, hey, I'd love to bring as many buyers as I possibly can to buy your house. Would you mind if I leveraged my professional expertise and hosted an open house for you? We'll pick a day this weekend. I'll set it all up. I'll take care of everything. I've already got the signs. I've got the marketing. Just let's pick a time. And all I need you to do is scoot out for 2 to 3 hours and I got it from there. See if I can get you a buyer. Right. So you can ask this of your fellow listing agents. You can ask this of your for sale by owners in your market. There is always another house that can be marketed. There's always another open house that you can do. So don't be shy about asking that question. Okay, so back on to the topic here. And again, I'm going to walk what I'm saying to you. You're going to see this in the documents that I provided, so it'll be a refresher as you look at it. So we've identified what we're going to do for the open house. We know exactly what property it's going to be. We're going to do it Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, Saturday morning, whatever you decide, right? There's some good stats out there about what specific timeframes work best, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line, on the weekend when it's convenient for you. If it's Sunday, try not to do it during church hours. You'll get better attendance later in the day. But whatever works for you and your seller, that's the time. Identify the house and the time at least by Wednesday. And then you're going to be proactively marketing the open house as a way to market your own business and drive traffic to you, get known as the go-to hustler agent in your market, right? There's so many different ways you can do that. So I highly recommend you make a flyer. Did someone have a question? Or pause there for
yeah, let me ask you this, Walter, because one of the big questions on this has been, with that NAR settlement, the buyer rep agreement. So if you're, and I know this applies to a lot of agents out there, but if you're looking to host for another listing agent, whether they're with your brokerage or not brokerage, does that come into play if you're hosting? Same thing if you're just hosting for a FSBO.
Yeah. So 2 things. 1, I am not a NAR lawyer. So let me caveat with that. 2, I don't really care what NAR says because it's NAR. And I know this is a recorded call, but I'll just openly say it. If another listing agent tells me that I can market their property, I have their permission to market their property. I am now acting on behalf of the listing agent. NAR says if you are a listing agent, any buyer can walk into your listing without paperwork on file. I am now representing the listing agent by hosting their listing open. I do not need a buyer rep on file to have them walk through the door simply because my name is not on the listing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's my understanding of that as well. There may be caveats with either your state or your local brokerage, what they require. So, we just want to put that out there. But if you're hosting for another agent, you're representing the seller.
Yep, you're working for that listing essentially at that moment.
Exactly.
Yep. Absolutely. And you'll have, and admittedly, you'll have some agents that will tell you, again, because I would never teach somebody to do something I haven't done or haven't taught. Like, this is something we're familiar with. You'll have some agents say to you, I would love that, but my broker won't allow that. What do you mean? My broker doesn't allow us to do open houses for other brokerages. My broker doesn't allow people to host open houses. We all do it in-house. Okay. Your broker has a scarcity mindset. I can't fix that. I got to call another agent and help them, right? Don't argue the point. It's not worth, well, your broker could do that. He doesn't have to say no. Don't even bother, right? It's not the agent's fault. They're just following their rules, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there are plenty of other agents out there who are like, yeah, I'd absolutely love for you to do that. Great, let's set it up. I'll send you a text. We'll coordinate, right? The text is now, I have written permission because now we're coordinating via text and not just a phone call where I didn't say that. There you go, right? Easy peasy. For sell by owners, a quick caveat on that, just so that we're clear. Anytime you have a buyer that you're bringing to a for sale by owner directly, always have your commission agreement on file with the for sale by owner before you walk the buyer through the door. Okay, that's just a point on FSBOs. Again, for the open house scenario, we're not going to have a bunch of paperwork on file because we haven't vetted these buyers. We don't even know if they could be the neighbor down the street that has no interest in buying. You know how open houses go. So we're not going to have buyer reps on file randomly. Hey, before you walk in, sign this buyer rep. I'm not going to have a commission agreement on file with the for sale by owner yet. But if I have an individual buyer that I call the FSBO, hey, I've got a buyer I'd like to show your property to, I'm absolutely going to have my buyer broker on file first. I'm also going to have a commission agreement on file with the FSBO before I walk that buyer through the door. That protects your commission. Again, that's a whole nother topic that we could dive into. I once did an $11,400 commission deal for free when I was early in my career because I had a for sale by owner tell me to my face, I was standing in their kitchen. Oh yeah, I'd be more than happy to work with a buyer's agent if you bring me a buyer. Great, I have the right buyer. This is the perfect house for them. I'm gonna write you an offer. I wrote the offer and I wrote the commission agreement. I submitted them at the same time. And they signed the offer. And they said, I never agreed to pay you. And so then I had this conundrum, right? Do I not have a deal go through that I know is perfect for my buyer's mother? It was literally my previous client's mother who was buying the house. Or do I just go, you know what? I make enough money. I'm going to suck it up and learn something from this. And so I did that deal completely for free, zero commission. $11,400 is what the commission would have been. And then from then on, I learned something, right? Never bring a buyer through the door without the commission agreement signed first. Live and learn, right? You can all learn that mistake. That's an $11,400 lesson that I just gave you. So be mindful of that. Okay. Let's dive back into our chit chat here about how we work all of this. So we already know the house we're going to do. We've already identified it, FSBO listing, our own listing, another listing. We know this is the house we're going to hold open. We want to get a flyer built earlier rather than later. And we want to put that digital flyer absolutely everywhere. Go high tech and low tech with this, right? Facebook, your own profile, your own Instagram, whatever you're on, right? Your local community Facebook groups will almost always allow you to post an open house flyer. It's not spam. It's not self-promotion. This is information for our market. There is a house for sale in our market. And a lot of those Facebook groups, even if they don't allow self-promotion, will allow you to post that flyer. You want to get all of your first round of advertising done again, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we're going to do it again a couple times throughout the day, right? We want to really go crazy with this. Now, the in-person side, the low-tech version of this, right? Take that same flyer, put it in the corkboard at your grocery store entryway, put it in your Ace Hardware on the little walk. If that's what you have, put it in the waiting room at your local mechanic, right? Put that flyer everywhere. If you want to get really fancy, you can make a little QR code that hyperlinks to your landing page for the site, right? You can do that for free these days. You can go that route. But you want it everywhere. You want it on your social profiles and all of your local Facebook groups, all of the national real estate Facebook groups. Obviously, you want this on Open Houses USA so that people can drive right to the website and go, oh, there's an open house. That's perfect. That's right where I want to be, right? Leverage all of the tools and resources to market the house. And really what you're doing when you're marketing the house, yes, that might drive more traffic to the house, but over the long haul of doing this, you're actually marketing yourself and you're promoting, even though it's not self-promotion, right? You are promoting in the minds of the people in your community that you are a productive, successful, busy real estate agent because they keep seeing your open house flyers. They keep seeing you doing something this weekend. They keep seeing your post in the group. They don't know that it's a for sale by owner and you're hosting it open for them. They don't know that it's somebody else's listing and you're hosting it open for them. They just see like, Walt is doing another open house this weekend. The dude's killing it, right? So it actually benefits you greatly to be active in those social profiles, those Facebook groups, all of your community groups. Nextdoor is a big one that's growing now in popularity as well. Put that flyer everywhere. Do that Wednesday, Thursday timeframe. Advertise the open house again the morning of. So if you're going to do Saturday, Sunday, on Saturday morning, like early Saturday morning, so people see it before the afternoon open house, go post it back through all of that. You can do video content with that. You can do your flyer. When you're actually at the open house, let me back up. Let me talk real quick about signs. A lot of people do the signs. I'll say incorrectly as well. A lot of people will put an open house sign in the front yard. They'll put an open house sign on the main intersections pointing in, and they'll do that the morning of the open house. I would argue that you need some directional signs out no later than Friday morning. Not in the community, not all of this, every single, right, on the main arteries pointing into a neighborhood. You want some directional open house signs that say open house Saturday that way. And here's why we want to do that. This is something that most agents miss. And then if you never thought about it, it's okay. Once you hear it, you're like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Think about when the average person is driving the main arteries outside of a neighborhood they don't already live in. The work day, the work week, right? Monday through Friday. So if I have my directional arrows out Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning even, and the commuter drives to and from work, and it's a 40-minute drive, and on their way home from work on Thursday or Friday, and they're exhausted, and it's, work week's over, and they're like, I hate this freaking drive, right? And then 20 minutes into their drive home, they see a big directional arrow that says open house in this neighborhood right here, and they go, that's half my drive. They're going to go be mindful to look that up if they want to move houses, obviously, right? Not every single commuter is going to buy a house just because they hate their drive, but you will actually catch the eye of the commuters that are going back and forth to work, and they'll go, I should go look this up because I saw the sign and I'm like, what's that? Abington Downtown Commons, whatever the name of the community is, right? I'm going to go look that up. Or I know I'm on the corner of 3rd and 8th. Let me go find the corner of 3rd and 8th and see what this is, right? Eventually they'll get smart. They'll go to Open Houses USA and they'll know how to find the address, right? Put those main directional arrows out well in advance of the weekend so that you catch the eye of the commuters.
Yeah, use a lot of signs as well, because especially at intersections, people turning and stuff, their eye lines go different places. So wherever possible, use some. It's amazing to me, if I go out driving anywhere, I might see this little sign that doesn't really have any information. And I've done this here locally where I'll try to follow where that sign goes, and I was like, I can't find the house.
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen those, like you're driving around and you've seen the little like for sale by owner signs, and you're like, I couldn't even read the phone number, that was so small, right? Well, guess what? Your open houses are kind of the same way. You need a big sign, you need lots of signs, throw some balloons out there, grab people's attention, right? There is no such thing as overkill when you're marketing the open house for the property. There's really no such thing as overkill. Now, the morning of the open house, or the start of it, let's call it the start. If you do it morning, afternoon, totally up to you. You're physically at the house and you're 20-30 minutes early because you're getting everything prepped. Go live on your social platform, whether you're Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you use. Take a minute and go live at the start of your open house. Hey, I'm over at 123 Main Street. We're about to have a fantastic open house over here. We're giving away a raffle for this Lazy Susan, granite quartz, whatever. That's real life because that's what I do, but we'll get that in a minute. Come on down. We're going to be here from 1 to 3, blah, 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 blah. That live might not necessarily grab a bunch of new buyers that weren't going to show up, but now they are. But what you're going to do with that live, once it's done, is you're going to put it in all of the Facebook groups. Again, we're marketing ourselves and our business while we market the open house. And then at the end of the open house, go live. Doesn't matter how many people showed up. It was a great open house. You had a great time. You really enjoyed it. It was wonderful, right? Doesn't matter if one person shows up, nobody shows up, or 10 people showed up. It was the greatest open house you've ever done when you go live to talk about how great the open house was, right? You're using all of these opportunities to market yourself and your business in your community. If you happen to have a slow open house, right? It happens sometimes. That's okay. leverage the fact that there's nobody in it to do a 45, 60-second walkthrough of the best part of the house. A really cool kitchen. The back deck overlooks the lake, right? Whatever it might be, right? Whatever is really, really the draw of that property. Do a quick video of that. And what are we going to do with that? We're going to post it on our social. We're going to post it in all the Facebook groups, right? We're going to drive more attention to this listing in our business. So many different ways we leverage this open house to grow our own business. Now, when you're at the open house, again, the goal is actually not to sell the listing. If it happens, wonderful. Nothing wrong with selling the listing at the open house. But at the end of the day, the open house is a lead funnel. Your goal at the open house should be to set appointments with qualified buyers before they leave and grow your business through your marketing, right? So there's a document that I gave you in that Google Drive called the Open House Lead Funnel. And it talks about how you walk a brand new absolute stranger to you, right? Because when they first walk in, they're strangers, they don't know you. How do you start a conversation to build a little rapport without sounding salesy to someone who doesn't want to talk to you? And how do you end that showing with a booked appointment to talk more about what they need and a buyer consultation if they're not already represented by an agent already? So that's really the goal, is to set an appointment at the open house. And then after the open house, you should have collected really good feedback. One of the resources I gave you was a feedback form that I've used for years. It's very, very good because it collects the user's data in a way that doesn't feel like you're just asking them for their data. The feedback form solicits their opinions, their thoughts. Tell me what you think, as opposed to a sign-in sheet that says, I want your info. And so it's a whole different mental dynamic when you let them walk through the house first, and then you ask them for some feedback. And in that feedback, there's also some data collection. Now you have something you can follow up with. Follow up is important in every lead generation strategy, right? So everyone that fills out feedback, everyone that comes through, whether you set an appointment with them or not, make sure they all get added to your CRM that day. Go home, put your stuff down, and before you get distracted by the rest of your weekend, log into your CRM, put them in it, add some notes about whatever you talked about while you were there, while it's fresh in your head, and then follow-up is on your court at this point. Everyone gets a thank you text, right? Regardless of whether they said, I'm working with a realtor already, I don't want to buy right now, I just walked through because I was bored. But it doesn't matter what they say. We're still going to follow up. We're going to say, thanks so much for showing up. I really appreciate your time. Let me know if you need anything, any questions for me, right? We're always going to follow up. Those who are unrepresented by agents, we are going to consistently follow up with, right? That's a super important piece of every single lead generation strategy, is follow up. Now, another piece of open houses that I always, again, you don't have to do it Walt's way. I think it works pretty darn good. I've had pretty good success with it. At every open house, I want to have some sort of thing of value that I can give away. That could be a gift card to the coffee shop. That could be a local store's gift card. I actually partner with a local granite company in my market. And what they do is when they install granite or quartz or whatever they install, they take the scrap and they turn it into Lazy Susans, so it doesn't go to waste. And then they donate those Lazy Susans to the local schools, if in case a teacher wants one, or things like that. So they donate Lazy Susans to me, and a $100 gift card to the store to me. So every open house I do, I usually have a black granite and a white quartz Lazy Susan on the table with a little flyer in between about how Jackson Stoneworks can completely remodel this kitchen any way they want to. They've actually done free quotes for me. So I'll send them the listing photos and they will give me a quote on what it costs to put new countertops in that specific house. I'll have that printed out. And then the feedback form is their entry ticket into the giveaway. So, and I'm very clear about telling them in the intro, when they first walk through the door and we're talking a little bit, I'll say, hey, just FYI, before you leave, we're going to be giving away these Lazy Susans. You get to pick whichever one you want from Jackson Stoneworks. They're phenomenal. Your feedback form that I'm handing you right now is your entry ticket. Just fill that out, leave it on the table, and I'll put you into the raffle, right? So they get a feedback form, they get a pen on a clipboard with an MLS sheet about the property so they can walk around with that, right? And then that feedback form that they leave is their entry ticket to the raffle, right? Gives me a reason to follow up with everybody. Even if you didn't win, I'm still going to follow up with you and tell you, thanks so much for showing you didn't win, but I'd still like to mail you a $100 gift card to the store anyway. Where can I send it? Because they give me enough that I can do that, right? It could be a coffee shop gift card, right? It doesn't have to be a Granite Lazy Susan, but think about something of value. It doesn't have to come out of your pocket. Your partners here can donate those things, but that item of value makes it far easier for them to leave you information, as opposed to, hey, you got to sign in, give me your name, give me your email, give me your phone number. And they're like, I don't know you, bro. I don't want to give you my info. It's a whole different psychological dynamic when you do it that way. So very, very effective. So at the open house, right, there's a misconception here that agents have to talk to the people when they first walk in. I need to, where are you at? And where are you doing? And are you qualified? And what, blah, 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 blah. Understand the psychology of the people walking through the door. Did your mother or father ever say to you as a kid, don't talk to strangers? Yeah. You probably, if you have kids, you say that to your kids, right? Don't talk to strangers. So here's this stranger walking into another random stranger's house, being approached by another stranger. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to tell you their personal details. Here's my family dynamic. I got 3 kids and 2 dogs. We need a big house. So these are my finances. They don't want to talk to you. They don't know you. So you have to be mindful of the psychology of the people that you're interacting with. We don't want to talk business yet. We simply want to build some rapport, let them get comfortable in their environment, and then we'll talk to them at the end and set those appointments. So that when they first walk in the door, it might be some super basic icebreaker questions, right? Hey, do you live in the area or are you shopping from out of town? Right? That's super low pressure, very, very neutral. I'm not asking about your personal details, right? Have you been shopping all weekend or is this your first open house? Right? And then whatever they say, just let the conversation flow naturally from that, right? A couple icebreaker questions, whatever they say, lean into what they say, because whatever they say, that they're obviously comfortable talking about, right? And then when that conversation, that intro is logically done, introduce them to your raffle and the feedback, explain to them that this is the thing that I'm giving away. Here's your feedback form. This is for you. Here's your clipboard and your pen and your MLS sheet and the feedback form. Do me a quick favor. And just when you're done, take your time, enjoy your tour. When you're all done, if you take 30 seconds to fill out that feedback form and just leave it on the table here, that's your entry ticket to the raffle. And let me know if you have any questions. Enjoy your tour. Go ahead, do your thing. After 20 minutes of walking through the house, talking amongst each other about, hey, this bedroom would work really good for the twins. We could put bunk beds in here. It's big enough. We could use this spot for your office. I think that would work. They start to visualize themselves in this home. Now, psychologically, they are getting more comfortable in this environment. That's the time that they're going to be open to a conversation with us. Not when we first walk in the door and they don't know us, right? They got to get comfortable in their environment. So at the end of their tour, when they're done walking around and doing their thing, we have some post-tour rapport building questions that will lead us into a logical appointment request if it makes sense. So we might say something like, hey, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed the tour. How did this home fit what you were looking for? Lean into that, where whatever they say is fine. Yeah, you know, we need this, or it wasn't big enough, or we need a bigger backyard. The periwinkle blue is the most ridiculous color in the bathroom, whatever they say, right? What is this home missing that you're really looking for? Is this in the ideal price range? In a perfect scenario, how soon would you want to be moved? Right? These are, you don't have to ask all of these questions, but these are some rapport building questions that you can start taking off ramps from to talk about their family dynamic, their timeline, what are their real goals here? What do they really need? If this didn't fit what they need, what does fit what they need, right? We start having that conversation. And then we'll say something like, oh, okay, I totally got that. Are you working with a great agent like me to help make that happen already? If they say yes, I'm more, yeah, well, we got a realtor. Oh, okay, great. Do you have a signed buyer representation agreement, or are you just kind of talking with them? Now, notice that question is super important because a lot of people, they miss business because they don't ask that question. It's not pushy. It's just you're clarifying. Are you working with an agent? Oh, yeah, working with an agent. That's the question to say, we don't want to talk business. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't working with an agent, but you need to go one level deeper and say, oh, okay, I got you. Do you have a signed buyer representation agreement with that agent, or are you just kind of talking to them right now? And if they are like, no, we're working with Sally James of Remax. We have that. She's our agent. Oh, okay, great. No worries. Sally's great. You're in great hands. It's not our client. no big deal. But if they're like, nah, we just started we found somebody on Zillow the other day and they mentioned something, we're just, oh, okay. So you're not under any fiduciary responsibility yet. So in that case, could I make a suggestion? This is the segue question to you setting the appointment for a buyer consultation. If they do not have an agent, okay, great. No, I understand that. Hey, in that case, can I make a suggestion? Very rarely would somebody say, no, you cannot make a suggestion to me. Right? It's rude to say no to that question. So they're going to, yeah, what do you got? Then you move into the appointment request before they walk out the door, right? If you don't ask for an appointment, the answer is always no, right? So it's a very simple, hey, can I make a suggestion? Yeah, sure. Why don't you and I set up a time where we could meet again in person, review exactly what you need, and I'll get you all set up for success with the new home search. Would that be a good idea? Would weekdays or weekends work better for you? Awesome. Is morning, afternoon, or evening the best time for you? Wonderful. So how about 2 p.m. on Friday? Great. Let's set up that calendar invite right now. What's your best email? I'll put this together for you while we're standing here, and I'll let you get on your way. Right? We're going to book the appointment for a buyer consultation at the open house before they leave. We're going to get their email to put them on the calendar invite. We've got their feedback form, which logically has their phone number, name, and emails. Again, I'm going to verify real quick. Hey, what's your best email? I'll do the calendar invite. Great. Really quick before you go, what's your best cell phone number? I'm just going to text you a picture of my business card real quick so you got my number. Okay. Now I've got an appointment. I've got their email. I've got their phone number. Whether they gave me the correct data on the feedback form or not, I just got it again from them word of mouth. I've got their actual data. Okay, great. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you soon. And you book that buyer consultation. If you don't ask for that appointment, you're never going to set a buyer consultation appointment at your open house. There are unrepresented buyers walking through the open houses all day long. There are buyers that will see you not at the open house, but at the marketing that you do in your local Facebook groups, on your local Facebook profile, the flyer that you put up somewhere. There is tons and tons of business to be done with open houses, but you have to be very mindful of how you leverage this open house for maximum value of you and your business. So those are just some high points. Again, everything we just taught, we're at 10:42. Everything that we've talked about in the last 35, 40 minutes in the Google Drive that I dropped. For those who might have shown up late, I'm going to drop it in here one more time just so everybody has it. Everything you need to execute what we just talked about is in there. The one thing that's not in there, and again, just because we have a little time, and if you guys have questions, by all means, drop them in the chat. One of the other things that you can do that most agents just don't do, if you want to grow your own listing business, reach out to the for sale by owners in your market. Don't ask for the listing at all. Offer to offer value to them. Hey, let's talk about your photos. I've got a great photographer if you'd like an introduction. Let's talk about your listing description. Here's some ways you could write it better. Let's talk about, hey, I would love to bring a buyer to your listing. Would you mind if I did some proactive marketing to see if I can find the right buyer? Great, I'll do that for you. If I'm going to do some marketing anyway, would you mind meeting me at the property for about 15 or 20 minutes? I'd love to do some quick video content because video content really drives the marketing these days. Could I do that for you? Could we meet for 15 minutes? Great. Hey, listen, if you're free this weekend, as I drum up these buyers, I would love to be able to save you some time and headache, and I'll just bring them all at once rather than onesie twosies setting appointments. Would you mind if I hosted an open house for you this weekend so I can drive all those buyers to you at the same time? Right? There's all these different value propositions that we can offer. And the open house is a value proposition for the for sale by owner, but it also builds a wonderful relationship between you and the for sale by owner that will turn into either closed business with the right buyer or listings when the FSBO decides they don't want to do it on their own, which statistically, again, I'm a nerd, I'm a data-driven guy. 93% of for sale by owners list with an agent. That is a statistical fact. You don't have to ask for the listing. You just have to make a new friend with someone who has a house they need to sell. And when the time is right, they will ask you to list it. How do I know that? Because Walt Key does what he teaches. Right now, I have about 15 listings that are active or pending on the market at this moment. 50% of them are from FSBO relationships.
Hey, Walter,
50%. You can do that with these open houses. You can leverage this open house for that.
yeah, we've got a question in there about what do you think about walking the neighborhood prior to hosting an open house and promoting it to them?
Absolutely. So again, your flyer, I'm going to say some words that are going to scare some people. Don't be scared. Go door knock the neighborhood. Right. People get so freaked out. I don't want to sound like a salesy schmuck. You're not sounding salesy. You're offering information. You're doing something helpful. Hey, by the way, your neighbor a block away is going to sell their house. Hey, man, here's your chance to pick your new neighbors. Here's the flyer. Share it with somebody you want to move in with. Right. Make it fun. Engage with people. Absolutely. Door knock the neighborhood. I would
A little
say,
humor. Yeah, a
depending
little
on the
humor
size
can
of the
go a
community,
long way.
depending on the size of the community, that might be 20 or 30 houses within a couple miles because it's a rural area. That might be just, you know what, I could walk up this side of the street, walk back down the other. I could hit 100 houses in an hour. Whatever that dynamic is, that's fine. Absolutely door knock the neighborhood, invite them to the open house, and take a flyer or two and use that. It's a funny little thing that, people love humor. Just tell them, hey, listen, your neighbor up at 123 Main Street is doing an open house this weekend. Here's your chance to pick your new neighbor. Share this flyer with somebody who you wouldn't mind living next to. It's just an easy, friendly icebreaker, right? You absolutely don't knock the neighborhood.
And the more you do these things, the more comfortable you're going to get, the more that you're going to get into who you are, your personality, and it's just doing it. Someone did ask, it says it being recorded. Yes, it is being recorded. One thing I wanted to ask everybody is, what do you already have? One, do you have open houses already lined up? And two, what's your goal for the number of open houses you want to do this year? So you can put that in the chat or speak up, but you need to plan. You need to set your schedule. You need to set a goal. And once you get everything in place, then it just becomes more a habit of being able to do. And it's a great way. Yes, you're marketing yourself, but Walter, let me ask you this here. Yes, open houses, ultimately one of the big goals is to market yourself, brand yourself. But I have heard sometimes, those sellers will have objections to that and go, well, it's just, all they're good for is just to market yourself. And it's, so why, I don't want an open house being done for me. How would you
So
overcome that,
I
or
would
just
tell
let them know the
anybody,
value of open houses, because it is getting more visibility to the property from what I see.
yeah, I would tell you that there's so many different layers of value to an open house. For you not to do it, here's the only reason you should not do open houses. You have so much business, you don't care. Honestly, if you want more business, put open houses into your plan. If you are so busy and you make so much money that you're like, I don't even want to try to grow my business anymore, cool. Don't do open houses, right? That's fine. But if that's not you, open houses should be part of your resume, right? You should absolutely be doing them.
Let other agents host your open houses.
Yeah.
That's one thing. We on Facebook, we do have a few state groups: open houses in Florida, open houses in Tennessee, open houses in Georgia. We have Open Houses USA as well, where people can post their open houses. But hey, listen, if you're wanting to find someone to host your open house, post it in the group. Ask that question. Or if you're looking to host an open house in a particular area, post it in the group. There are agents looking for that. We will be adding that feature later on the website. We don't have that there yet, but become part of the openhousesusa.net community, because this is going to elevate you. You can take it wherever you want to. We're already giving a lot of education on there. I've got a planning guide that will be coming out soon, that will be given out. So look for those opportunities. Yeah. So there was Walter says well, there's a question about, it says, when thought Wednesday was too late to begin marketing. What's your timeline for open houses?
I see that. So obviously
as early as possible.
Yeah, so as early as possible, but no later than Wednesday. You need to have identified the house and you need to start marketing the house. Some people, they start talking to their seller on Wednesday, Thursday. Hey, do you want to do an open house this weekend? And by the time they actually start doing any marketing, it's Friday afternoon already. No
It's
signs
gonna
are
help.
out. Nothing's in social groups. Nobody has a chance to see this before the event happens, right? You got to give people time to plan.
And it's going to help us on the website, because when I see that there's open houses there, we're going to do what we can to help share it in those areas. And as we look to increase our marketing and everything, we're going to be advertising in the areas where there's open houses. And we're going, we're hoping to grow fast. So please let others know about us. Please, uh, you know, clients, potential visitors to the site, and customers, they can contact you directly. But also they can set up their own little profile and go, uh, I'm interested in a house in this price range, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, in whatever city and state. And when that hits the website, a house that fits that, they get a reminder. They get a little notification on there of, hey, there's an open house coming up in your area.
Yep.
So take advantage of these. Also, if you have suggestions that will make the website better, let us know, because this is your site.
Yeah.
This is to help you.
What's nice about this site too, and some of you might be thinking about it, some of you might not, and that's okay. It's not an IDX fed website. It is not associated with the MLS in any way. Right? What that means for you is the question that's burning on every buyer's agent's mind right now is, are they paying a commission at all? I got to ask that awkward question. Am I going to get paid for this? You can post your buyer agent commission that you agreed to with your seller. If you put a listing agreement together and there's a 2.5%, 3%, 8%, 10%, whatever percent you want to do, you can post the commission on this website because it is not an MLS linked IDX fed website.
Yeah,
And that's a big question mark in people's head right now.
When you're posting your property in there, yes, you can use emojis in there because people love using emojis, but there's an area for just agent to agent notes. No clients are going to see that. It's just other agents who are signed in and looking at the property. So listen, even if some of you never have open houses, still create a profile for yourself. And if you're looking for homes, and for you to visit, for your clients to visit, be signed in, and you can see if there's any agent notes in there. But that's one thing too, is I was reading something the other day. It says not not enough agents actually visit other open houses.
Yeah. It's a great way to learn your business. Great way to learn your
Especially if
business.
you're a new agent, but it's a great way to get out and market yourself.
Yep,
So put that in your schedule.
for sure.
Who else anybody else have any questions? We want to leave this open for anybody that might have a question. Any comments? Good. Hey,
This is the
listen,
worst hour you've ever spent. Like, oh, Walt wasted our time again. Like, you can say it. You can be honest.
no, it's this is a great start to 2025. Everybody can go out and market yourself. And listen, there's no bad days. There are absolutely no bad days to have an open house. Yes, the weekends are the most popular, but I think someone did one of those 100 days that did 100 open houses in 100 days.
Nice.
So
And the
but
other
it's a
thing
way
you
to
can
get
do
out
too,
there, get content.
a lot of people miss it, right? You hit a very important point there. Like, we think that open houses or the weekends are ideal for the clients, right? Because they don't have to go to work. But don't miss the opportunity to do a broker's open, which you could do you could do it while your client's at work, so the house is empty. 2 o'clock on Tuesday, show up, and from 2 to 4, just the licensed agents walk through and see if this is the right fit for your client. right? You can absolutely do that. You can do a weekday evening event at an open house and serve some food. Make it an event. I was at a fellow agent's luxury beachfront open house on a Tuesday at like 7 o'clock at night. He had a live band. We were literally overlooking the ocean. He brought food where there was a videographer there. Everyone was given the content that the videographer was filming to use in their own social content. You can take this as big as you want to. Open houses are great for the weekend for the buyers, but there's so many other ways you can do it for your fellow agents as well, and you market yourself. Don't miss that opportunity. If your weekends are somehow really chaotic and busy, you can do an open house on a weekday evening.
Yeah, it's one thing that we're going to be adding to the website later as well. We're hoping to add this in a phase 2. We got some things to do first, but virtual open houses.
Yeah,
you know, that's something that can be posted as well, because hey, we know people are from other states and can't make it to the actual open, but there's so much new technology that can grow. We want everybody to be part of this now, because our website is a way for you to brand yourself and brand the open house the way that you want it to brand. So not only are you marketing the open house, but any visitors to the site, they're seeing you. And that may be someone that goes, I like how they do things. I want them to represent me. That's how you have to look at it. Walter, I thank you for your time. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Make sure that you put this on at the same time every month, first Tuesday of every month, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, and then whatever times as you go further out west. So that works for everybody. If anybody has any questions at any time, feel free to reach out to Walter or myself. There will be a recording of this. We will be getting that out. I think that we have everybody's email, so we'll get information out to you. And make 2025 your best year yet.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.